Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? How's it going? It's your favorite social studies education major coming at you guys with the video this week. I'm super excited. We get to talk about Ephesians this week, which is actually one of my favorite books of the Bible, so very excited. But we're going to get into that in just a minute. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about my summer because I have not seen any of you guys this summer. It's been really horrible. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about what's going on in my life. So basically, at the end of the semester, things were going well. Finals went well, at least for me, and got to the end. I thought I had a job lined up in place at a summer camp. That ended up not working out, which is really unfortunate. But I did get a job at a local restaurant to my house at home. So it's just right down the road. And I'm working a lot of hours there, like 50 hours a week, which has been all right. A lot of weekends, which is mainly why I'm busy. But it's been kind of fun. I have a lot of opportunities to kind of minister just through love to people there, because it seems like a lot of people there don't have a lot of people in their lives who genuinely show interest in them. You can just kind of see the people that work there, they get kind of beat down by life quite a bit. So just having that opportunity to be there for them is really awesome. So yeah, that's been really cool. And I've loved that opportunity. It's definitely something different than what I would normally have. So it's been pretty cool. So I've been doing that most of this summer, working like every week. I got my first week off last week, which my family went to Hawaii, which is unfortunately why I couldn't go to the summer retreat. I really wish I could have. I honestly really wish I could have. But Hawaii was pretty cool. So we just got back from that a couple days ago. I got my bag still back there. I got to finish unpacking. I still got my swim trunks in there. But I'm here now, and I got a couple more weeks of work, and then I'm super pumped to see all you guys. This semester is going to be awesome. I'm really, really excited for it. But anyways, let's get into Ephesians, because that's what we're really here for. So Ephesians, one of my favorite books of the Bible. It's so beautiful. It really combines the whole story of why we're Christians with how do we live it now so beautifully. And you have to start off with the fact that Paul actually writes this letter while he's in prison because he's a Christian. Like, the idea of that, him writing one of the most beautiful books I've written from prison, mind-boggling. So I had to start off with that because it's true and it's really awesome. So basically how this book starts is Paul expressing his love for Christ and God and the gifts that they have given him. And his thanksgiving, which is what we see in chapter 1. He's so thankful. And it's all just a prayer that Paul is giving out. And it's really, really beautiful. I would highly recommend you go and read it. It's quite a bit. It's too much for me to read right now, but it's really beautiful. So then he goes into chapter 2, which he then starts to talk about his main theme, which I found to be unity, which is a really, really awesome message for nowadays, because it seems like people don't agree on anything anymore. We're going into chapter 2. You start to see Paul starting to focus on that unity. And he starts off by laying the groundwork of our sanctification and how we get grace through faith, which is essential for our belief, obviously. So you start to see in chapter 2 him talking about us giving that grace freely from Christ, not because we deserve it, obviously, but because we just simply believe in him, which is so amazing, obviously, and it's what we believe. But then he starts to focus on how it's different than it was before Christ laid down his life for us, because before the promise to be in union with God was just for the Jews. Now, because Christ laid down his life, it's also for the Gentiles, and both of them can have their unity and their identity in Christ, which means that they together are unified, which is it's mind-boggling and beautiful, which is obviously the theme that I talked about earlier, the unity of all the believers. So Paul goes in, and I'm going to read a couple verses here because I found them to be really important for this message. So first, I want to start off chapter 2, verse 19, if you're following along. It says, so then, he's talking about the Gentiles here. So then you are no longer strangers and aliens, but you are fellow citizens with the saints and members of the household of God, built on the foundations and the apostles and prophets, Christ Jesus himself being the cornerstone, in whom the whole structure being joined together grows into a holy temple of the Lord. In him you are also being built together into a dwelling place for God by the Spirit. So you get to see a cool metaphor there, which is one of the few, actually. He has like three main metaphors, and that's one of them, where you get to see his foundation of the temple that we all are, and how Christ is the cornerstone, which is the piece at the top, which holds it all together. And you get to see that again later, something like that. But a building obviously doesn't work if you miss a stone, or if you don't have, the foundations right. Like, it has to be solid all the way up in order for it to stand. In order to have a roof, you can't have a missing wall, obviously. So it's a beautiful picture of how we are as Christians. Like, we work together with Christ in order to hold up the roof, which I like to imagine is our belief and our unity. It's a beautiful picture. I absolutely love it. So then he starts to move in towards how the gospel starts to apply for our lives and what that looks like. And he starts off that in chapter 4, when he starts off talking about how we have unity now, like I mentioned before, in the body of Christ, and how we can live out that in our lives. Like, what does that look like in our daily lives? So I'm going to start off with chapter 4, because I think it just starts off beautifully. He says, I, therefore, a prisoner for the Lord, urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called, with all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit and the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called. Sorry, I lost my place. Just as you were called to the one hope that belongs to your call, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all things in all. But grace was measured to each one of us according to the measure of Christ's gifts. So, I don't know if you noticed, there is a word that is repeated quite a bit in that verse, or those verses, and that is one. We are one, which is such a beautiful message. Now, there is a problem there, though, because a lot of people think after that, oh, wow, cool, I'm one with everybody. Oh, wait a minute, I disagree with a lot of people on a lot of different things. How am I supposed to get along with people who I don't, like to associate with? Well, Paul has an answer for that, believe it or not. His answer is, who cares? You're not you. You are in Christ. That's the whole point. Your identity is not yourself. Your identity is new, which is awesome. Obviously, he's like saying, hey, shut up. I understand you don't like these people, but Christ does, and your identity is in Christ, so you had better love them. So he starts this off towards the middle of chapter 4, where he says, okay, here in chapter 4, verse 20, it says, but that is not the way you learned in Christ, talking about that selfishness, the greediness. He says, assuming that you have heard about him and were taught in him, as the truth is Jesus, to put off your old self, which belongs to your former manner of life and is corrupt through deceitful desires, and to be renewed by the spirit of your minds, and to put on the new self, created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness. And then he goes on to talk about all the different things that you're not supposed to do, obviously, like telling lies or being angry. Don't be angry on somebody when you go to sleep. Don't steal, obviously, no corrupt talk, all bitterness and wrath, don't do that. Like, all sorts of things that talk about how we are to be completely transformed. Like, you are a new person. You're not yourself. You don't identify with your own ambitions anymore. You identify with Christ's. And that's why we see unity, because we all have a common goal, and that's so awesome. And then he goes on to talk about some of the troubles that we may face in life, because obviously not everybody adheres to what we believe. And Christianity is a choice, and we understand that. And that's why we can see that God truly loves us, but it means that some people don't choose that. So obviously we're going to have troubles, and we're never promised that life is going to be perfect. But Paul goes into talking about marriage, and he talks about relationships with kids and parents. At the time there were slaves, and he talks about the relationship of slaves and masters, which we can kind of see some aspects of that with like bosses or authority figures or something like that. We can see messages of that, and how you can have unity with that, and what that relationship looks like, because obviously there's a hierarchy there in some of those situations. But how do you show love through that? And I don't know, the idea of unity is so beautiful, and I think it's really an awesome message that Paul is presenting here. And I think it speaks volumes today in a world that is so divided on everything. So yeah, that's pretty much what I got for Ephesians. So hey, thanks so much for checking out. I'm so excited to see you guys in a couple weeks. It could not go by faster. So I'll see you guys all later. Thanks so much. Bye.